Hello, everyone. Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It is Sunday. I hope the weekend is going well wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world. Thank you, as always, for joining me. Plenty to get stuck into today. It is Sunday. It is normally a quiet day, but there's plenty bits and pieces doing the rounds to talk about Arsenal-wise, including a move for Kepa, which has really, really ramped up and looks like it is going to be happening for a cut price deal of £5 million. Personally, I think it's a fantastic piece of business. Do I go as far as fantastic? Maybe, to be fair. I think it's a really, really good piece of business. I know not everyone agrees, but I think it's a very smart piece of business and good to get that done early. So going to talk about that. Got a bit of a reaction from you guys as well. Going to talk about Mohammed Kudus, who is being linked with Arsenal. Give my thoughts on that. Round up the internationals from last night, England, Ukraine in action. So Arsenal did have some involvement in those games and some comments and questions from you guys at the end to get stuck into. But we've got to start with Kepa, which is a really, really interesting move, I think. A really interesting story. £5 million Arsenal to trigger his release clause. He wants to come. And Arsenal just going to trigger that release clause now and take him from Chelsea. Yes, it's another Chelsea player. Yes, I've seen people moaning about that. But honestly, if you're going to moan about this deal, I don't really understand what makes you happy because this is just the most sensible piece of business you can possibly get done for a number 2 goalkeeper. You're signing a really experienced keeper who's been playing at the top level for a long, long time. Not always been the best, I admit. When he first came to Chelsea, obviously he struggled to deal with that price tag. He was the world's most expensive goalkeeper. 70-odd million pounds he cost for Chelsea to sign him. It didn't work out. He struggled to deal with that. And he's had to sort of, I think he's kind of had to play with that sort of hanging over his head as well. But, you know, the last couple of seasons, he went on loan to Madrid, had a good time in Madrid. On loan, did the job he needed there, had a fantastic season. Well, again, fantastic, maybe pushing it, but he had a very good season last season with Bournemouth. And Arsenal signing him as a number 2 goalkeeper for £5 million. His wages aren't massive. I've seen lots of that going, oh, he's on 150 grand a week at Chelsea. He's not. The new deal he signed at Chelsea before he went out on loan to Bournemouth drastically reduced those wages to about half of that, I think. And that had that release clause written into it as well that Arsenal are about to take advantage of. You know, I don't see how you can complain about this deal. He's a perfectly good goalkeeper, more than a good goalkeeper. He's shown that. You know, he had a very good season at Bournemouth last season. Who, I think he kept 9 clean sheets in all comps for them. Made some really good saves, including against Arsenal, and I just think it's a really smart piece of business. I mean, it's a steal, £5 million for a keeper of his quality. You know, if Arsenal had gone, say he didn't have the Chelsea connection. So people have been saying this to me. I think someone said it on the Inside Arsenal Discord channel. Someone said it, I think, on the YouTube comments as well. If Arsenal had gone to Bournemouth and signed their first choice goalkeeper last season, who was 30 years old, and signed him for £5 million to be number 2, everyone would be fine with it. Be like, that's a really good piece of business. But just because he's got that sort of Chelsea connotation, I think people are moaning about it. I think, you know, it's so good to get this done early. We're not having to scramble around worrying about the goalkeeper situation for the remainder of the summer, which for the last couple of years it's felt like we've had to. He's an international goalkeeper and he can come on and be number 2. He's not going to play much unless Raya gets injured. But when he does play, I'd have no issue with him being in goal. I just think it's a real. I honestly, I'm surprised that some people seem to have such a problem with it. I just think it's fine. It saves money to be spent elsewhere. You know, the Juan Garcia deal, I always had such big reservations about that sort of money being spent. I mean, if you were going to do it, fine, go and do it. You know, it wouldn't have overly bothered me. He's obviously a very, very talented goalkeeper, but the season he had at Espanyol just basically made it impossible for that deal to be done because he's not going to come and sit and be number 2. I'm surprised Kepa is, to be honest. And you know, he'll feel like he can try and sort of compete with David Raya for number 1. I'm sure that will be in his mind when he's coming. But just spending, you know, I'm so much happier spending £5 million on a number 2 goalkeeper, especially such an experienced, decent keeper as Kepa, than spending £25 million on another one to be sitting at number 2 when that extra 20 million could have been used to help get another deal over the line, for example. So yeah, as you can tell, I think it's a really good piece of business from Arsenal. A couple of you guys have got in touch talking about it. Actually, there was more than a couple, but I've pulled a couple up here. Podge says, "Hey Charles, watching from Vietnam. Thanks for getting me through my travels. No worries. Enjoy Vietnam and the amazing food you can get there." Kepa seems done. Kepa seems to be done for 5 million. Feels a bit of a steal given how he played last year. First, bizarre. He's seemingly willing to be number two. Any idea what the wages will be? Can't complain. No, hopefully means more money for the three forwards we want to sign. Only on the wages, man. I don't know. I don't know what Arsenal are saying to him. You can come here and get, but I know his wages were drastically cut, like to around sort of £75,000 a week, I think, at Chelsea last season when he signed that new contract before going out on Bournemouth. So I'd imagine it will be something along the lines of that. I know that's still unbelievable money in the grand scheme of things in terms of how me and you guys look at it, but in terms of football point of view and Arsenal point of view, it's not a big wage to take on. Addy says, just saw the news that we could sign Kepa. That's an amazing deal. Adds to my previous comments. There's too much noise around the club when no one really knows what they are doing behind the scenes. Arsenal fans need to relax and watch things unfold. If they don't do well by the end of the window, then criticise. Until then, watch and observe. I mean, wise words, absolutely wise words. Definitely not words that everyone's going to follow when it comes to the transfer window. I wish it was as easy as saying that and people would calm it. I can only reiterate again what I said in yesterday's show, in just a conversation I had on Friday with someone who I trust, saying that the club are very, very calm about what they're doing in window. They're very positive about the plan that they're going to execute in the window, and they're going to execute it and believe they're going to be in a really strong position come the end of the window. That's the message I've been told. And I know a lot of people don't kind of want to hear that and feel like that's not the case and everything's moving too slowly and all that. But look, this is a good piece of business. It's not the striker, obviously, which we all want to sort out. It's not the attacking additions we want to sort out, but it's a very important piece of business that needed to be sorted out this window. And they've done it early. Well, it's not done yet, but you see what I mean. As long as this progresses the way it looks like it's progressing, it will be done early. Then you don't have to worry about the goalkeeper, and you've not spent much money, not taken barely any money out your transfer kitty to do it. So makes a lot of sense to me. So hopefully that will be wrapped up very, very soon. Right, let's talk about Mohammed Kudus, shall we? Interesting one here. Now, we know this is a player that Arsenal tracked for a long, long time. Before he made the move to West Ham from Ajax, they were very much in the running to sign him. Couldn't get it done in that summer. Remember doing a video with Team News and Ticks last year, and he was telling us how Arsenal Kudus was willing to wait for a long, long time that summer for Arsenal to try and get something done for him, but it just proved that it was just too much money. Arsenal couldn't get it done; they had to focus elsewhere, and so Kudus ended up going to West Ham. Not been the best of seasons this season for Kudus. I think it's pretty well known that he would be open to a move. It seems to be pretty well known now that West Ham would be open to cashing in on him this summer. He does have a release clause of £85 million. And I believe that release clause is open during the first 10 days of July, or it becomes active during the first 10 days of July. Now, obviously, you don't have to trigger that release clause. West Ham might be willing to do a deal at a lower price, but there are suggestions that Arsenal are in the running for Kudus, who is on the market. Lots of clubs have been inquiring to West Ham, been talking to West Ham about it. Again, West Ham are open to letting him go by all accounts. And I mean, it would be an interesting one. The thing with Kudus, I think Kudus is a good player. I don't think he showed the best of himself last season in West Ham. I think there was clearly some sort of issues there. I don't think he got on very well with Lopetegui when he was in, and it was very sort of hit and miss throughout the season. The thing with Kudus is he's a real attacking talent. He can play on both sides. He scores goals. We know that. Still very, very young. So he's an interesting potential opportunity on the market when Arsenal are looking to strengthen out wide. I do feel like 85 million is just feels too much for me. If you're talking 85 million, if that's what West Ham are demanding, that someone triggers their release clause, I think there are other options Arsenal could go down that I would prefer to Mohammed Kudus. I think 85 million gets you Rodrigo, for example, this summer, or gets you very, very close to signing Rodrigo this summer. That would be far more appealing to me, I think, than Kudus. But if you can get a good deal at a decent price for Kudus, maybe it's one to explore. I'm not surprised that if reports are correct that Arsenal are exploring it. It's a market opportunity that is there to be explored, but I just feel that price tag is a little bit too much. It'll be interesting to see what West Ham might potentially be open to doing business at. I mean, when you look at 2 years ago, Arsenal could have signed Kudus for what? I can't remember how much West Ham. Let's have a look. I should have probably done this before I started saying, but West Ham signed Kudus. Let's see how much they signed him for from Ajax in the first place. I can't find it. Why is it? There you go. £38 million they signed him for. And that was a summer just a couple of years ago where Arsenal could have maybe got a deal done for him. And now 2 years later, you're signing him for more than double that. That's why I just feel that release clause is too much for me. I don't think Arsenal should be going near that. If that's the sort of money they have to pay, then yeah, I'd much rather see that money potentially invested in someone like Rodrigo. But less than that, quite a bit less than that. Maybe it's one to explore. Let me know your thoughts on it. I'd like to get your views on Mohammed Kudus down below. Want to get stuck into, or do you think certainly only if the price comes down an awful lot from the suggested not suggested, it is an £85 million release clause? Let me know in the comments below. Right, internationals wise, Declan Rice got a few minutes yesterday. I thought these comments from Thomas Tuchel were weird. I mean, England were awful yesterday, like laughably bad against Andorra, 1-1-0. Harry Kane got the goal in the second half. Rice didn't start. It was a really weird team, mix and match team, like kind of experimental, they described it on. And England just about scraped themselves over the line to get a win, but it was really horrible performance. I don't know what it is with England and Andorra. We always seem to struggle over there. But Thomas Tuchel kind of called Declan Rice out afterwards. Oh, I don't know if that's the right word, but this is what he had to say. He was asked about why Declan Rice didn't play. Because Jordan Henderson, I can't believe I'm even saying Jordan Henderson's playing for England in 2025. But Thomas Tuchel said, Declan has looked a bit out of rhythm, and I think Jordan deserved to play. And also for what Jordan brings to the group, it's well deserved. We started well, lost the rhythm and precision, and also the energy to be more decisive and score more goals. It is unnecessary that we look at it and then present in detail to the players what we don't like, what we want to do better, and what are the standards. I just thought it was quite. I mean, I suppose it was a direct question. Why didn't Declan Rice start? And he said he looked a bit out of rhythm. I just thought it was. Do you really need to say that about one of your top players? I don't know. Maybe he was out of rhythm. Maybe it's fine to call him out. Well, again, call him out is probably not wrong, but I just thought it was just a strange comment that probably didn't need to be. I wonder what Declan Rice thought of it. But yeah, he didn't play. He came on for a few minutes. Miles Lewis-Skelly didn't play. Obviously, there was no Bukayo Saka. He was left out completely with the injury that he has been struggling with since he linked up with the England team. The injury that he picked up against Southampton on the final day of the season. Thomas Tuchel seemed to suggest that Saka could feature next week. So we'll wait and see on that. Personally, I hope he doesn't. What's the point if he's got an injury? If he's carrying an injury, what is the point of risking him in midweek? It doesn't make any sense to me at all. So hopefully he gets given the day off. Elsewhere, Alexander Zinchenko was on target for Ukraine. Bad defeat, lost 4-2 to Canada, 4-0 down with about 2 minutes to go. And then they got a couple of late goals, including Zinchenko scoring a penalty in injury time, but not a great result there. Jonathan David helping himself to a couple of goals for Canada. I know lots of you, I see it in the comments, wonder why Arsenal aren't in the running for him. Obviously a free agent this summer, scored plenty of goals across Europe of late. No internationals, I think, Arsenal-wise today. There are some kicking off again tomorrow. And then, through the end of the week, England are playing on Tuesday, I think. And then hopefully that's all done and dusted. Can forget about the internationals. Everyone can go off and have their holidays. And while the ridiculous farce of the Club World Cup is going on, Arsenal can put their feet up, relax, and have a bit of a break before coming back for pre-season, which isn't too far away now from actually starting, which is mad to say. It's not going to be too long before they're back at London Colney and heading off to Spain for their pre-season training camp. Right, we're going to go through a few questions and comments now before we wrap this one up for this weekend. Nick there at the top says, without doubt, this was actually these are in response to what I was talking about yesterday when I was talking about Gabriel and his new contracts. I said, sort of pound for pound, I think Gabriel's the best signing of the Mikel Arteta era so far, I think. And Nick says, without doubt, Gabby is the best signing of the Arteta era. Pound for pound, it makes the difference huge. You see the intensity, the energy of the other defenders change when he's on the pitch. His set-piece ability, last-ditch work. Wow, what a player. Wouldn't swap him for any other centre-half. Matt says, best pound-for-pound signing. What about Martinelli? 6 million, and we're talking about spending 60, 70, 80 million to get someone to compete with him. Wasn't the Arteta era. That's what I'm talking about. Martinelli would absolutely, sort of pound for pound, when you're looking at how much money was spent on him, only 6 million, bargain. Has proved to be an absolute bargain. Got so much out of him, and still continues to get plenty out of him. But technically, that was the Unai Emery era. I think I'm kind of doubting myself now as I'm saying it. No, it definitely was the Unai Emery era, wasn't it? Yeah, just about misses out on that. Rich says Gabriel's been a brilliant signing, but I don't know if he's better value than either Timber or Odegaard, and maybe even Kivior. Made some terrific value signing in the last few years. I can't put Kivior in there. I know Kivior's had a good run of late, but Kivior was still just under £20 million, not that much less than Gabriel. You certainly can't compare him like for like in terms of pound for pound signing, considering what the two have given since they've moved. And that's no slight against Kivior. I think Odegaard, yeah, you got to give that as a shout. £35 million proved to be an absolute bargain. Got on to be Arsenal captain, of course. And so yeah, he is up there. But I still think just Gabriel. I think he was like one of the first big sort of Arteta signings at that time, just before Thomas Partey came in, and just what he's turned into, the leader he's turned into. I think for me, he's number one. But thank you everyone for getting in touch and sharing your thoughts on that. M Tofta, is that Tofta, says, as a Norwegian, I've been following Nusa since he went to Genk as a 16-year-old, still only 20, and I have to say he's absolutely one of the biggest winger talents in Europe. Will go to a top club soon, would be perfect at Arsenal. Only doubt is his injury record. That's the only thing stopping him from ending up being world class. Lots of similarity to Doué. Yeah, I mean, I said it yesterday. Every time I see Norway play, I just think he catches my eye. I just think he does really good things, really impressive things. The goal he scored the other day against Italy was fantastic. He can beat a man. He's got a really good finish on him, or seems to have a good finish on him. Powerful strike, really tricky. Just looks like he's got everything for a winger. Obviously, you talk about the injuries there, and that sort of stopped him making a big move to England. Tottenham were in for him. Brentford pretty much got a deal done for him, didn't they? And again, I think it was injuries that stopped that deal going through. He's at RB Leipzig now, isn't he? So yeah, looks a hell of a talent. Not seen anything linking him with Arsenal, of course. But yeah, it does look a really, really big talent. So I think Norway have got some really good players there. When you think you got Odegaard, you got Oscar Bob coming through as well, haven't you? Haaland leading the line, and Nusa. There's plenty of attacking talent coming through at Norway. Hopefully you can get yourselves to the World Cup and shine on that stage. Thank you, Tofta, for getting in touch and talking about that. Clint here now has got in touch. This is on the striker situation. It says, Charles, the thing is, if Sesko fails, Arteta fails as well, as the majority don't want him. But if Gyökeres fails, Arteta lives another day, as that's what the fans want. I think going for Sesko is unproven, so you're more under the spotlight. I wanted to bring this one up because I'm not sure I agree with it. I don't think you can judge a football club can make signings judged on fans' reaction. They've got to make signings judged on what they believe is right. So they won't be looking at it thinking, if he fails, then Arteta fails, and if Gyökeres fails, Arteta would still get hammered anyway, and it doesn't really work like that. But I also think it's the sort of thing that Sesko is unproven. I just don't agree with it. They've both been playing. 2 years ago, Gyökeres was playing for Coventry, had just come off playing in the second tier of English football for Coventry, and Sesko had been playing and scoring plenty of goals in Austria with RB Salzburg. And they both moved in the same summer to go to bigger leagues. So Gyökeres then went from the first tier of English football, went to Portugal and spent 2 years there. And Sesko went to 2 years to the Bundesliga and has been playing there and scoring there. So they're not, Gyökeres is older, but he's not more experienced, really, when you actually look at their careers at all. He's only been playing in Portugal for 2 seasons. Before that, he was sort of knocking about in the second tier of English football, doing well for Coventry. Before that, he'd been on loan at Swansea, I think, from Brighton. So I don't really think, when you talk about being unproven, I think Sesko's just as proven as Gyökeres is. Sesko's been doing it in a much better league. Not scoring as many goals, but he's been playing in a much better league. They've both been playing Champions League football for the same amount of time. As I said, Sesko's been operating in a much stronger league than Gyökeres has. They're both internationals. Sesko's played at an international tournament. So I don't think he is unproven at all. I don't think he is less experienced. I just think he's younger on that. So yeah, that was what I wanted to say about it. But I also think, you can't, if Sesko fails, and I'm not sure the majority don't want him either. I think it's very, very even. Whenever you look at people who've done polls about it, it's been very, very close between the two. So I don't think it's like massively the majority that don't want Sesko. But whatever, the club cannot do that. If the club believes this player is right, then you go for him. It doesn't really matter what the fan thinks at the end of the day. It's up to the club. It's them making the investment. So, but yeah, thank you very much for that, Clint, and everyone else who has got in touch. Appreciate it as always. And that's it from me today. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, what's left of it. Everyone, I'll be back tomorrow to do it all over again. Anything you want me to discuss in tomorrow's show, like Clint and everyone else has done there, just get into the comments on the bottom of YouTube, or if you're an Inside Arsenal member on Patreon, you've got go over to the Discord channel and you've got the specific Inside Arsenal questions box that you can drop questions into there as well. Till then, speak to you soon, everyone. Bye-bye.